Hello, and welcome to the course on compassion, fatigue, and self care planning for healthcare educators. I'm excited that you've decided to take this journey and hope you find value in the information provided in this course. If you ever have any questions, please see the contact information listed at the bottom of each page and email at any time. In this module, we will review compassion fatigue as a whole, discuss the difference between compassion fatigue and burnout, and then review the signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue. Last, I will review the professional quality of life assessment and direct you to the assessment within the course. Overall, when thinking about compassion fatigue, there are many studies that have occurred in the mental health and nursing professions, but there is a lack of research in the area of compassion fatigue specific to occupational therapy practitioners, and even less research related to compassion fatigue and healthcare educators. The research for this course focused on compassion fatigue specific to educators in higher education. Faculty in healthcare higher education represent a diverse and important group within academia, yet they face increasingly complex challenges related to demographic shift, growing mental health concerns, behavioral risk factors, and health disparities of the students served. Of these changes, und- all of these changes underscore the urgent need for institutional support and systemic change. Healthcare faculty at institutions of higher learning face increased emotional and professional demands stemming from their dual roles as educators and caregivers. The current literature examines how these demands contribute to the development of compassion fatigue, specifically among faculty in healthcare disciplines. As faculty provide support to students navigating educational and personal challenges, they may experience emotional exhaustion and difficulty establishing boundaries that put their own well being at risk. Over the last several years, faculty have reported an increase in feelings of anxiety, compassion fatigue, and burnout, with almost 40% indicating having feelings of emotional exhaustion almost always. Not only do faculty report increased mental health concerns, but 42.8% of faculty believe that the mental health needs of students have significantly worsened in the last 5 years. Faculty in institutions of higher learning are now facing significant mental and possibly physical health challenges due to the stress, anxiety, and burnout that stems from the ever increasing demands to balance personal and professional roles while trying to meet guidelines for teaching, scholarship, and service with little support from their institutions. There are several health disparities that are impacting faculty in healthcare education. Number one, gender disparities. While the general population of faculty in the United States is more equally split between genders, a significant portion of faculty at St. Catherine University are women who may face additional caregiver responsibilities, workplace expectations related to gender, or disparities in workload or pay. Number two, limited resources for well being. Pay gaps may present in private versus public universities, between men and women, and between races. Earning less than colleagues could impair the financial ability to access wellness or self care resources. Number three, workload disparities. Healthcare faculty carry additional loads when supporting students during didactic work, clinical placements, student mentorship and advising, and assuring accreditation standards are met. Workload impacts the ability to participate in wellness activities, balance work and personal responsibilities, and manage emotionally intense students. Cultural norms. Some cultural norms discourage self care. Others experience stigma against mental health support, or others are surrounded by individuals who glorify overwork versus balance. Addressing mental health concerns, including stress management techniques and the development of self care plans, can help with the prevention and management of compassion fatigue. Implementing resources and support systems for faculty and healthcare programs is imperative as the needs and expectations of faculty in higher education continue to increase. The literature shows that self care activities may decrease compassion fatigue and promote compassion satisfaction. It is important for faculty teaching in healthcare programs to have knowledge of the definition of and be aware of the typical symptoms of compassion fatigue. Faculty in institutions of higher learning, specifically those in healthcare education, play a critical role in supporting the students who face complex challenges. However, the current focus on student facing support often overlooks the needs of faculty, leaving them vulnerable to stressors, feelings of burnout, and compassion fatigue, and a lack of ability to promote their own well being. The goal of this program is to empower faculty to recognize their own occupational needs, help balance professional and personal responsibilities, and develop sustainable practices that enhance well being and resilience to continue supporting students. By integrating occupational therapy principles into faculty wellness, a more balanced and supportive environment can be created to enhance the overall educational experience for both faculty and students. The positive emotional benefit that faculty experience from their work, reflection of the pleasure and fulfillment gained through helping others and contributing to a greater purpose, is called compassion satisfaction. This is what we are all striving for. Now that you understand the background for this course and have heard a general overview of the literature, let's dive a bit deeper into the topic of compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is defined as a formal caregiver's reduced capacity or interest in being empathetic. It is bearing the suffering of clients and the natural, consequent behavior and emotions resulting from knowing about a traumatizing event experienced or suffered by a person. It is often referred to as the cost of caring and can include emotional, physical, cognitive, and behavioral drain or exhaustion that occurs in a helping profession's secondary to the demands of the job. Compassion fatigue encompasses secondary traumatic stress and burnout and can be conceptualized as secondary traumatic stress and is distinguished from burnout due to its direct link from knowing about or exposure to a trauma through empathetic engagement with the traumatized or suffering person. Compassion fatigue is defined as the emotional residue or stress of exposure to working with those suffering from the consequence of traumatic events. Compassion fatigue differs from burnout, but they can coexist. Compassion fatigue can occur due to the exposure to one case or can be due to a cumulative level of trauma. In short, compassion fatigue is something experienced by individuals in helping professions due to the traumas experienced by the individual or individuals they are helping or serving. Compassion fatigue can manifest in a variety of ways that may be physical, emotional, cognitive, or behavioral. One important thing to call out is that compassion fatigue differs from burnout in that compassion fatigue is due to the trauma experienced by others that are then taken on by the professional, whereas burnout is due to external factors in the work environment and can develop into a state of fatigue or frustration due to the strain experienced because of a specific job. This will be discussed further on another slide. When discussing the signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue, it's important to understand that no two individuals will experience compassion fatigue in the same way. Compassion fatigue isn't just feeling burned out. It isn't just feeling overwhelmed. It can manifest in one or more ways. As stated previously, individuals suffering from compassion fatigue may notice symptoms that are emotional, physical, or cognitive behavioral. Some symptoms experienced by individuals who have compassion fatigue are listed on the slide, but can also include distress, like feeling overwhelmed or having flashbacks, feelings of disorientation or confusion, trouble concentrating, skepticism, irritability, anxiety, anger, agitation, or sadness. The list goes on and on. Individuals could experience grief, avoidance, apathy, disinterest, feelings of dread, disturbances in relationships, depersonalization, feeling disconnected or unfulfilled at work. Additionally, individuals may experience physical symptoms like shortness of breath, heart palpitations, muscle tension, headaches, digestive issues, fatigue, and sleep issues. Others might experience cognitive or behavioral changes. These could be specific to or related to work performance, like tardiness, absenteeism, or an overuse of sick days. Individuals may experience one or several of these symptoms related to compassion fatigue. While burnout can be considered part of compassion fatigue, it is important to be able to distinguish the two terms. As we said before, compassion fatigue includes the emotional, physical, cognitive, or behavioral drain or exhaustion that can occur in helping professions as it relates to a person, individual, or student we may be supporting. Compassion fatigue involves taking on the trauma that another individual experiences and bearing the burden, where burnout is a response to work related stressors that may not include direct contact with clients who have experienced trauma. Examples of things that contribute to feelings of burnout could be staffing issues, difficulty taking vacation time, a culture of overwork, lack of supplies, productivity expectations, management or supervisor struggles, role expectations, challenges with break times, the physical environment, or poor work life balance. Burnout typically manifests over a period of time where compassion fatigue can be experienced even after one episode or exposure to trauma. Next, I will explain an assessment that can help measure levels of burnout and compassion fatigue in the helping professions. The Professional Quality of Life Assessment, or PRO-QOL, is intended to help individuals who serve or care for others understand the positive and negative aspects of their profession. Understanding the impact of caring for those who have experienced trauma can improve your ability to achieve balance and, in turn, continue to help those you serve. On this screen, you can scan the QR code to be directed to the Pro QRL assessment. As part of this course, we are asking you to complete the assessment and anonymously submit your scores. You will see an additional description of the assessment and a form to submit your scores at the bottom of the welcome page and on Module 1. Thank you so much for taking the time to review the information on compassion fatigue and burnout. I look forward to exploring additional course content with you.